Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Los Angeles Chargers 2018 NFL Draft Class based on analytics. And in this video, we're going to go through every single pick that the Los Angeles Chargers selected and look at what their potential is based on production and athleticism data over the course of many draft classes. So if you're new to the channel and new to the work that I do, all terms and definitions will be in the description. With all that stuff out of the way, let's get to the first pick for the Los Angeles Chargers, and Derwin James, defensive safety out of Florida State. When you look at his production data, 76.08 in terms of solo tackle data, 72.52 in terms of interception data, and 88.70 in terms of pass deflection data. Doesn't really have all-pro potential, but does have at least Pro Bowl potential when you look at his overall production traits. When you look at the averages at the position, he does look closer to kind of a Pro Bowl player than an All-Pro player based on his production data. And the only real question mark with Derwin James is his athleticism traits. 96.45 in terms of explosiveness, 90.33 in terms of speed, and only 41.81 in terms of flexibility for his size. Multiple All-Pro and Pro Bowl safeties, strong safeties in particular, had at least an 85.89 flexibility score, and with Derwin James, 41.81 is just not getting it done. Very good production, decent athleticism traits. I do think there's a good shot that Derwin James becomes a long-term starter, but definitely has some question marks in terms of his flexibility testing. Then, of course, we get to Uchenna Nwosu, edge out of USC. When you get to his production data, 94 in terms of solo tackle data, 45.92 in terms of sack data, and 48.08 in terms of tackle for loss data. Doesn't really hit the All-Pro or Pro Bowl thresholds in terms of his sack data and TFL data, but does have at least a pretty strong solo tackle score. And athleticism traits-wise, he has at least Pro Bowl athleticism, 46.30 in terms of explosiveness, 83.02 in terms of speed, and 89.35 in terms of flexibility for his size. Uchenna is definitely a guy that's going to need to take some time to develop, but he does have good athleticism traits, and again, his production data is indicative of at least a solid player. You know, the solo tackle data is pretty solid, but he is someone I think is going to need some time to develop in terms of sack data and TFL data. Then, of course, you get to Justin Jones, defensive tackle out of North Carolina State. When you get to his production data, 33.46 in terms of solo tackle data, 63.81 in terms of sack data, and 69.55 in terms of tackle for loss data. Doesn't quite have All-Pro or Pro Bowl potential based on his overall production traits, but does hit at least the starter area of production. And athleticism-wise, or at least when you look at the averages of the position, first off, doesn't really hit near the average solo tackle score, sack score, TFL score for a long-term starter, Pro Bowl player, or All-Pro player, which is definitely a concern. And now when we get to athleticism, 67.40 in terms of explosiveness, 71.19 in terms of speed, and 55.15 in terms of flexibility for his size. Doesn't quite have All-Pro potential, but he does have at least some Pro Bowl potential in terms of his athleticism traits. So he's someone who has good athleticism, but doesn't quite have the production to match. There definitely are a couple cases of players that are like this and end up becoming long-term starters, but he definitely has some question marks in terms of his production data. Then, of course, you get to Kyzir White, defensive safety out of West Virginia. 74.60 in terms of solo tackle data, 80.80 in terms of interception data, and 44.75 in terms of pass deflection data. Doesn't quite hit the All-Pro threshold or Pro Bowl thresholds in terms of the position. When we look at the averages here, the biggest thing that's lagging is his pass deflection data, but does at least look like a starter to Pro Bowl player when you look at his solo tackle and interception data by itself, but definitely has question marks in terms of athleticism data. 62.92 in terms of explosiveness, 36.52 in terms of speed, and 67.34 in terms of flexibility for his size. There's never been a multiple All-Pro, Pro Bowl safety with this athleticism profile, but I do think there's a chance that he could become either a starter or a decent rotational guy based on his overall profile. And of course, we get to Scott Quisenberry, offensive center out of UCLA. When you get to his athleticism traits, he had a 99.39 explosion score, 92.12 speed score, 90.37 flexibility score. Definitely is near the bottom end threshold in terms of All-Pro potential in terms of flexibility testing. So very good all-around athlete. When you look at the averages of the position, pretty decent compared to the averages, and I do think there's a very good chance that Scott Quisenberry becomes a long-term starter or better because of his overall athleticism traits. Then, of course, we get to Dylan Cantrell, wide receiver out of Texas Tech. When you look at his production data, 37.25 in terms of passing yards, market share production. Doesn't quite hit the All-Pro thresholds or Pro Bowl thresholds or even starter thresholds when it comes to position. And when you look at the averages at the position, woefully below average of what an All-Pro player, Pro Bowl player, and starter player usually scores in terms of college production. So his production data is not that fantastic, but he does have good athleticism traits, 98.39 in terms of explosiveness, 72.19 in terms of speed, and 99.27 in terms of flexibility for his size. This is the major reason why you drafted him. But again, he does have a lot of question marks in terms of his overall production data. Then, of course, we get to Justin Jackson, running back out of Northwestern. When you get to his production data, 88.51 in terms of market share production. Doesn't quite hit the All-Pro threshold, but definitely if you round up, he hits right there. Which, again, the All-Pro threshold is 89 or higher since 1969. When you look at the averages at the position, he definitely is close to the All-Pro average score of 90.98. But his athleticism traits do lack a bit. 48.71 in terms of explosiveness, 31.03 in terms of speed, and 71.38 in terms of flexibility for his size. 100% of multiple All-Pro / Pro Bowl running backs since 1999 had at least a 79 or higher athleticism trait. And when it comes to Justin Jackson, he doesn't really have an above average athleticism trait. So definitely a good shot to become a long-term starter, but definitely lacks athleticism traits necessary to become a multiple All-Pro / Pro Bowl type running back in the long run. So overall, when you look at the Los Angeles Chargers draft class, I do like this draft class to a certain extent. I think Derwin James has a good chance to become a long-term starter. I think Uchenna has some decent athletic upside. I think Scott Quisenberry also has a chance to become a long-term starter. Justin Jackson, same difference. There are a couple picks here that are questionable. Guys like Justin Jones, Kyzir White, Dylan Cantrell. I'm just very perplexed by some of those selections there. But again, not a terrible draft class. I do think there's some players from this class that have a chance to become successful players. But there definitely were some reaches to a certain extent, either because of production data or athleticism data. So we'll see what happens with this draft class long term. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you believe that the Los Angeles Chargers did in terms of their draft class? And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Gymmetrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know. Hit that notification button so you're always reminded when another video of mine drops. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.